Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the brush tool. You can select it over here on the side, make sure you're on brush tool. You can go up here to the top where it says normal mode. It's the most common one. You're going to make sure your opacity and your flow are set to 100, and then go over here and change the color. Pick a nice one that you want. You just drag it across, and that's how you use the brush tool. Kind of like a paintbrush. You can change the opacity. If you turn it down, you can see it's a little bit lighter. Turn it down even some more. And that's just depending on what kind of shade or heaviness that you want the brush tool to take on. So we'll leave that at 100. Okay, so then the flow tool is a little bit different. It has to do with how many times you make a mark. So the more you turn it down, the more of the bubbly line kind of thing you get. We turn the flow back up to 100. Usually good to keep it there. So again, opacity has to do with how dark you want it. You can erase those. The next one is the dissolve mode, which is kind of different. As you can see, that line is a little bit rougher than the other one. If we change the flow and the roughness, you can kind of see it's just more of a dotted texture. So that's the difference between that one and the normal tool. So if we go back to normal, you can find the different brushes here. The different ends here that you see are what kind of shape your brush tool takes on. So if we click this leaf, you can come over and find a cool green color for it. Make it bigger or smaller. Here I have it set to pretty big. So you can see the little mark that it gave and the bigger ones. Then if I change the size up here down a little bit, you can make smaller ones. And most of these ones, it kind of puts them in random order so that you get the more natural looking effect rather than just straight leaves over and over again. You can pick any of these. There's little wispy things, make these a yellow color. And a lot of it's just playing around so you can figure out what kind of brush tools you like. And you see how it kind of goes random directions every time. It just naturally does that. So yeah, those are your different presets. I can also put my watermark here. I'll show you that later. So we're going to probably stay on this normal one. Just the normal circle for the most part. Change the bigness and the smallness with the bracket tools. Well, the keyboard tools. And there's all these other modes that you could use. So all of these different tools pretty much have different effects depending on what you're going for. I'll show a few of them in this next video. Right, go to the chair. You go up to File, Open. And you pick the chair. Have that up. We're going to start with the overlay mode. We're going to turn the opacity down. Pick a nice yellow color over here. Once you find a nice, really light, fresh color, you're going to just take a bigger brush and then cover the entire thing. It's covered. You see that just gives it a nice lighter color. Gets rid of some of the blah black and white. Multiply tool. It's just a different option you can use. This one's going to help us make some darker colors. So we're going to go in and pick a darker burgundy-ish color. Something that looks kind of wood-like around the chair. And then you're going to zoom in. You're probably going to want a smaller brush tool to start on this. So you can use your smaller bracket tool to make it smaller. So we're just going to go over the wood here. And as you can see, like when you go over it multiple times, it kind of gives a darker effect sometimes there. And that's okay for this one since it's wood, so it's okay that we have a little bit of a rougher look. It's more rugged that way. And you're just going to go over the entire chair. It doesn't really matter if you make a few mistakes here and there. I'm going to show you how to fix it later with the eraser tool. Just take your time, cover the entire chair, make sure you get the right kind of darkness and solidness of the color that you want on the chair. Eraser tool, and slowly take it across the edges where you want to get rid of the color. So all the parts that aren't the chair that you want to be not colored brown. So you can see if you unclick the eye, it'll make it so you can see what parts you have and haven't erased. It's just another good thing about why we made the extra layers before we put the brown on. That way if you make a mistake, you can always get rid of that layer and the rest of the image is still there. What we're doing with the eraser tool is erasing the entire part of that layer. So if we were to unclick the eye on the other layers, you wouldn't be able to see anything in the parts where we erased. So you're really just erasing the layer that we're on right now so you can see the one underneath it. You can finish up on that.
This headache's too much.
Next, you're going to pick the lighter color option. I'm going to pick a nice green color. We're going to color the plant down at the bottom. Once you have your color selected, make sure you have your opacity turned down pretty far. You can just kind of go over it. Get a nice little green hint. It's just another little pop of color that we can add to this. And one of the last things we're going to do, we're going to go back up to mode. We're going to pick the soft light option. We're going to find another light yellow color to go over the top. It's just a really light one. Kind of go with whatever you want. We're going to make a really large selection area, and the opacity is way down. Just to kind of give the area around the chair a little bit more of a yellow glow to create some emphasis. And if you want to add even more than that, you can kind of change the color. I picked a nice little peachy color for this one. It just kind of helps emphasize the chair a little bit more, since there's already yellow in the background. And the last thing we're going to do is add the watermark. So you go up to the brush ends options, and you pick your watermark that you've already pre-saved as a brush. Turn the opacity back up. Make sure you have like a dark color so that it'll show up on your image. Now if you leave it like this, it's not going to show up. That's why you have to change the mode back to normal so that you know that your brush will actually show up. It's a common mistake that a lot of people make the first few times. They forget to change it back to normal. So if we leave it on the soft light option, it's not going to make the mark dark enough for what we want it to do.